The sun was a warm hand on my back. It was July 6, 2025, the day of our wedding photo shoot. My fiancée Clara stood beside me on the cliff's edge. Her white dress danced in the gentle sea breeze. She looked like an angel, a vision I had dreamed of for years. The photographer shouted instructions, telling us to smile, to look into each other's eyes. I didn't need to be told. Looking at Clara was the easiest thing in the world. Her laughter was music, a sweet melody that filled the air and echoed in my heart. We were so close to our forever, I could almost taste it. I held her hand, my fingers intertwined with hers. Her skin was soft, warm from the sun. I remembered the day I proposed. It was on a small boat under a sky full of stars. I had planned every detail, wanting it to be perfect just for her. She had cried, her tears shining like diamonds in the moonlight. "Yes," she had whispered, her voice thick with emotion. 1,000 times yes. That memory was a precious jewel, one I held close. Now, standing here, with the vast blue ocean stretching out before us, that moment felt both a lifetime ago and just yesterday. We had built a life together, brick by brick. We found a small house with a garden. Clara loved flowers, and I promised her a garden full of roses and lilies. We spent weekends painting the walls, our clothes splattered with color, our faces beaming with joy. We argued about little things like the color of the curtains or who would do the dishes. But we always made up, our love a sturdy bridge over any disagreement. Our families adored each other. My mother treated Clara like the daughter she never had. Everything was falling into place, a perfect puzzle of our shared future. The photographer asked us to kiss. I leaned in, my heart pounding in my chest. Her lips were soft, tasting of salt and sunshine. For a moment the world disappeared. There was only us, just me and Clara, on the edge of the world, on the brink of our new life. The sound of the waves crashing against the rocks below was a powerful symphony, a soundtrack to our love story. I pulled away slowly, a smile spreading across my face. I was the luckiest man alive. I truly believed that. I had no idea how quickly the tide could turn. Our perfect moment was shattered by a familiar voice. "Clara, you look stunning." It was Liam, her childhood friend. He stood a few feet away, a wide, confident smile on his face. I felt a familiar knot tighten in my stomach. Liam had always been a part of Clara's life, a shadow I could never quite escape. They had grown up next door to each other, sharing secrets and dreams long before I came into the picture. He had a way of looking at her, a look that always made me feel like an outsider. Clara's face lit up, a different kind of light than the one she saved for me. "Liam, what are you doing here?" she exclaimed, her voice full of genuine surprise and delight. She pulled away from me, her hand slipping from mine as she rushed to hug him. I stood there, feeling suddenly cold despite the warm sun. The photographer lowered his camera, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. I tried to smile, to be the gracious fiancé, but my lips felt stiff. It was supposed to be our day, a day about us. "I couldn't miss seeing the bride in her dress," Liam said, his arm lingering around her waist a moment too long, "even if it's just for a photo shoot." He finally looked at me, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "Hey Mark, you clean up nice." It wasn't a compliment, it was a dismissal. Clara, oblivious to the undercurrent of tension, started an argument. "You shouldn't have come, Liam. This was supposed to be a surprise for the wedding day." Her words were light, but they carried a history I wasn't part of. I stepped forward, trying to reclaim my place beside her. "Clara, we should get back to the photos," I said, my voice firmer than I intended. She looked at me, her brow furrowed in annoyance. "Mark, don't be like that. Liam is here now. We can spare a few minutes." Her defense of him was instant, a reflex. The old argument surfaced between us again, the one about Liam's constant presence, about the boundaries he so often crossed. The beautiful day was now tainted, the clear blue sky suddenly filled with unseen clouds. The argument escalated quickly. Voices were raised, old wounds reopened. Liam stood back, watching with a look of smug satisfaction. He loved being the center of Clara's attention, even if it was negative. He stepped closer to the cliff's edge, gesturing dramatically. "You're overreacting, Clara. I'm your friend. I'm allowed to be happy for you," he said, taking a careless step backward. It happened in a horrifying instant. His foot slipped on a loose patch of gravel. His arms flailed, his eyes wide with shock, and then, he was gone. He vanished over the edge. A scream tore from Clara's throat, a sound of pure terror that chilled me to the bone. She didn't hesitate. She didn't think. She just ran. Before I could even process what had happened, she launched herself off the cliff, her white dress billowing around her like a broken wing. "Clara!" I screamed her name, my voice raw with disbelief and fear. The photographer dropped his camera, his face pale. My world tilted on its axis. The woman I was about to marry had just jumped into the violent sea after another man. My mind went blank. There was no thought, only instinct. My love for Clara was a physical force pulling me forward. I ripped off my suit jacket, my shoes, anything that would weigh me down. The waves crashed against the rocks below with a thunderous roar. They looked like angry teeth waiting to devour anything that fell into their grasp. I didn't care. Clara was down there. I had to get to her. I took a deep breath, the salty air burning my lungs, and I jumped. The impact with the water was a brutal shock. The cold was a vice, squeezing the air from my body. I fought my way to the surface, gasping for breath, my eyes scanning the turbulent water frantically. I saw Clara. She was struggling, her heavy dress pulling her under. And a few feet away I saw Liam, his head bobbing in the waves, his face a mask of panic. The current was strong, a relentless monster trying to drag us all out to sea. I had only one thought, one purpose. I had to save Clara. I swam toward her with every ounce of strength I possessed. My muscles screamed in protest against the icy water and the powerful current. "Clara, I'm here! Hold on!" I shouted, my voice swallowed by the roar of the waves. I finally reached her, my fingers grabbing onto the sleeve of her soaked dress. Her eyes, wide with fear, met mine. For a fleeting second I saw relief in them. I thought we were going to make it. I thought my love would be enough to pull us both to safety. I started to swim, kicking hard, trying to pull her toward a small rocky outcrop a few yards away. It was our only chance, but she fought against me. "No! Liam! We have to help Liam!" she cried, her voice choked with seawater. She tried to twist out of my grasp, her gaze fixed on him. Liam was struggling, but he was closer to another set of rocks. He was a strong swimmer, I knew he was, but Clara only saw her friend in peril. My own struggle, my own sacrifice seemed invisible to her. "Clara, please, I can't save you both! Let me get you to the rocks first!" I begged, my own strength starting to fail. The cold was seeping into my bones, making my limbs feel heavy as lead. But she wouldn't listen. She looked at me, her expression changing from fear to a desperate, cold resolve. "Let me go, Mark," she said, her voice eerily calm. "He needs me." And then, she did something that shattered my world into a million pieces. She pushed me away from her, back into the path of a large crashing wave. The wave slammed into me like a wall of concrete. Water filled my mouth, my nose, my lungs. I was tossed and turned, disoriented in the violent, churning darkness. I saw her turn away from me, her focus entirely on Liam. She started swimming toward him, leaving me behind. In that moment, as I was being pulled under by the unforgiving sea, I understood. I was not the one she would risk everything for. My life was secondary. Her heart had made its choice, and it wasn't me. I woke up to the rhythmic beeping of a machine. The smell of antiseptic filled my nostrils. I was in a hospital bed, my body aching with a deep, throbbing pain. I blinked, my vision slowly clearing. A young woman with kind eyes was checking my vitals. "You're very lucky," she said softly. "A fishing boat saw you. They pulled you out just in time." I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. "Clara?" I managed to rasp. "Is she okay?" The woman, a nurse, nodded. "Your fiancée is fine. And her friend. They're in the room down the hall. My family arrived soon after." My mother's face was a mess of tears and relief. My father stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder, his own eyes filled with a mixture of anger and concern. They told me what happened. Clara had reached Liam. They had clung to the rocks until the same fishing boat that rescued me came for them. Clara had been frantic, asking about me, but my mother's words were cold. "She made her choice, Mark," she said, her voice trembling with rage. "She chose him over you." Later that day, Clara came to my room. She was wearing a hospital gown, her hair still damp. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying. She sat in the chair by my bed and took my hand. It felt cold, lifeless. "Mark, I am so sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I was so scared, I wasn't thinking. I just saw Liam and all our history. I just reacted." She squeezed my hand, searching my face for a sign of forgiveness, a flicker of the love that was always there for her. I looked at her, at the woman I had promised to love for the rest of my life. I saw the apology in her eyes, but I also saw the truth that the ocean had revealed to me. It wasn't just a reaction, it was a choice. When faced with losing one of us, she chose him. She pushed me away to save him. Her heart, in its most primal, instinctive moment, did not belong to me. "I'm sorry too, Clara," I said, my voice hollow. I gently pulled my hand from hers. "But we can't get married. It's over." The days that followed were a blur of quiet conversations and difficult decisions. Clara tried to change my mind. She sent long, tearful text messages. She called my parents, begging them to talk to me. But my decision was firm, carved into my heart by the cold reality of her choice. My family stood by me, a solid wall of support. My father helped me call the wedding vendors, canceling the caterer, the band, the reception hall. Each call was a painful nail in the coffin of the future I had planned. I moved back into my parents' house, unable to face the small home Clara and I had filled with so much hope. Her things were still there, her favorite mug by the sink, her half-read book on the nightstand. I asked my sister Sarah to help me pack everything. We worked in silence, folding clothes, wrapping photos, and placing them into cardboard boxes. Each item was a memory, a ghost of a happy moment. There was the silly souvenir we bought on our first trip, the blanket we cuddled under while watching movies. It was like packing up a life that was no longer mine. My mother was furious with Clara. "How could she do that to you?" she would say, her voice shaking with anger. "After everything you did for her, everything you were ready to give her." My father was quieter, but his disappointment was just as deep. He would just sit with me, not saying much, but his presence was a comfort. He understood that sometimes there are no words that can heal a wound so deep. There is only time, and the quiet support of those who love you unconditionally. One evening, Sarah handed me a box of photos. It was from the photo shoot. The photographer had sent them over, not knowing what had happened. I looked at the first picture. It was us, smiling, holding hands, looking into each other's eyes. We looked so happy, so in love. It felt like a scene from someone else's life, a life where Liam didn't show up, a life where Clara didn't jump. I closed the box. I couldn't look at them. The promise in those smiles was broken, and the echoes were too painful to bear. Weeks turned into months. The sharp edges of the pain began to dull, replaced by a quiet ache of acceptance. I started to build a new life for myself, one that didn't have Clara at its center. I found a new apartment in a different part of town. It was small and empty, but it was mine. I started a new job, pouring my energy into work, finding a sense of purpose in deadlines and projects. I reconnected with old friends, letting their easy laughter fill the silence that had surrounded me for so long. One day I received a message from an unknown number. It was from the nurse who had looked after me in the hospital. Her name was Emily. She said she had been thinking about me and hoped I was recovering well. We started texting, simple conversations about our days, about books and music. Her messages were a small light in my quiet world. I learned she was the one who had stayed by my side until my family arrived, the one who had spoken to me with such kindness when I first woke up. After a few weeks I asked her if she would like to get coffee. We met at a small cafe downtown. She was even prettier than I remembered from the hospital. Her smile was genuine and her eyes held a warmth that was both comforting and new. We talked for hours. I told her my story, the whole painful truth of it. She listened without judgment, her expression full of empathy. In turn, she told me about her life, her passion for helping people, her own dreams for the future. As I sat there listening to her talk, I realized something profound. For the first time since that terrible day, I wasn't thinking about Clara. I wasn't dwelling on the heartbreak or the betrayal. I was present in that moment with this kind, wonderful woman who had, in her own way, helped save my life. The future was no longer a scary, empty void. It was an unwritten page, a new horizon waiting to be explored. The sea had taken something from me, but perhaps in the end, it had also given me a chance to start again, and for that, I was finally grateful.